Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday, August 5th, 2026 regular council meeting. I will call our meeting to order at 9 a.m. and I'll ask everyone to stand for the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Quand croit ses propres il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. Car qui voilà
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this morning?
None from administration.
Is there a member of council that would like to approve the agenda for the August 5th, 2026 regular meeting of council? Councillor Jeffrey, thank you for that. I'll call the motion. All in favor? That is carried. Any corrections or amendments to the July 15th, 2026 regular meeting of council minutes? Is there a member of council that would like to approve those? Thank you very much, Councillor Finn. I'll call the motion. All in favor? That is carried. It is a very light agenda this morning. We have no proclamations, delegations, no public hearings. We only have one decision item, which is 8.1. This is the South Trunk Interconnection Lower Cantrack. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and Council. The proposal is for the connection of the South Trunk line in Lower Cantrack. During peak rainfall events, sections of the sewer system in the southwest quadrant become surcharged due to the limited capacity and lack of system flexibility. There are two major sewer trunk lines that currently operate independently, preventing the redistribution of excess flows when one line becomes overloaded. I think on the map that was handed out to everyone, it's highlighted in red where we would like to make the connection. Currently, these lines are both 14-inch lines, and all of the flow from the southwest quadrant comes down directly into the one on the east side. While the issue is expected to be addressed comprehensively in the upcoming wastewater master plan, the process will take time to complete and implement. In the interim, residents remain at continued risk of flooding and associated damages. The most recent rain event, May-June this year, caused multiple backups. Immediate action is needed to mitigate impacts and reduce the frequency and severity of the sewer backups. An engineer review of our existing infrastructure suggested that a connection between the two major sewer trunk lines located in the Lower Cantrack area behind 56th Street near the disc golf course. This involves a 12-meter excavation of 14-inch diameter pipe and the installation of a manhole where the two lines join together. This connection is to increase system redundancy, improve hydraulic capacity, and reduce the risk of sewer surcharging that has repeatedly resulted in residential flooding in the area. Linking the trunk lines, excess flow during peak events can be redistributed, preventing localized overloads and minimizing flood damage to homes and infrastructure. Recent high-flow events have demonstrated that the current sewer system operates near or beyond capacity under peak conditions. This has resulted in basement flooding in the area, sewer backups due to surcharging, increased operational and emergency response costs, and public safety and health concerns. The existing trunk lines operate largely independently, limiting the system's ability to balance flow during the storm events and infiltration surcharges. The engineering design came in around $10,000 with construction at $80,000 and a $10,000 contingency. Failure to act may lead to an increased number of insurance claims against the municipality, higher insurance premiums or policy restrictions, potential denial of insurance coverage in extreme cases if negligence is established. Sewer backups and overflows can lead to regulatory and environmental risks, resulting in unauthorized discharges, triggering scrutiny from provincial regulators, and lead to potential fines or mandatory corrective actions. Each subsequent flooding event strengthens the argument that the municipality failed to act after being made aware of the problem. Failure to take any action to try and mitigate the issue until it can be fully addressed in the wastewater master plan may result in the loss of public trust, increased political and community pressure, greater scrutiny during future infrastructure decisions, result in unauthorized discharges, trigger scrutiny from provincial regulators, potential fines and mandatory corrective actions. The service level implications would be reduced flood risk, decreases the likelihood of annual basement flooding, improved system performance, allowing balanced flow distribution during storm events, cost avoidance, reduces emergency response, repair costs, and potential claims, and enhanced resilience, strengthened system responses to extreme weather. This aligns with the maximize use and revenue of municipal facilities. The primary stakeholders include residents in homes affected by repeated sewer backups, homeowners near the area of construction, the general public, insurance providers, and disc golf course users for the period during construction. Providing notice to area residents that construction will be taking place and for what purpose is expected to be generally well received, as the construction is located within a green space and will have minimal impact on the recreational activities and residents in the area. Recurring backups in the area are common knowledge and a source of stress to those previously affected. Upon council approval of funding, construction is expected to begin in September, when lower flows are usually seen in the trunk line. The project is expected to take no more than 5 working days and will cause no disruption of utility services. I'll open the floor to questions.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Good job. Did you want to maybe introduce yourself and tell council what
sorry.
your role is?
I'm Bree Haskell. I'm the utilities manager.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. I'll open it up for questions to Ms. Bree. Go ahead, Councillor Clark.
So we've had engineers look at this and say, hey, this is possible. How far along, or have we at all got into the design stage?
Oh.
Or-
Thank you for the question. So in 2024, I believe we did an assessment, which was like water modeling of the system. Oh, whoops. And that kind of showed what was going on in that area. We have not gone into like the actual engineered drawings. It's pretty simple. That's why it's a relatively small amount of money, 10 grand. But once we get into that, like, it's not going to take them long. They know the infrastructure pretty well and did the modeling for us, so they know exactly what needs to happen.
And then in terms of the $100,000, that's, you're proposing that it's all coming from the sewer capital reserve fund.
Correct.
Is there any other alternative ways to pay for that outside of that fund?
That's a great question, Councillor Clark. One of the things that council has asked us to do is to be extremely transparent with the way funds are expended, so there's no there's no perception of misuse of funds or reallocation of funds when they've been dedicated for specific tasks. Hence, taking a look at where it would naturally come from versus an alternative action is what we chose to do. So coming straight out of a reserve, the beauty is if it does come out of reserve and we're able to expend it and there is money left over in other areas, we'll be able to top our reserves back up at the end of the year. But to be completely straightforward, making sure that we're aligning our tasks with the funds that you provided us in the last budget, super important. We can look at alternative options for sure and come back to you and let you know. But that's why we haven't in this case.
Sure. My only thought is, you know, if you're going to go with a contingency, and because this is sort of a one-off, unbudgeted, is there any way you can tap into the CAO fund for that? If there's an overrun, sure. If not, go ahead.
Councilor Clark, I would love to tap into the CAO reserve for this, but we do have some other areas where the CAO reserve is being, unusually tapped, I would say. Let's say that. But otherwise, yes, for sure, we could.
Go ahead, Councillor Jeffrey.
I just noticed that there's a statement here that says increased number of insurance claims against the municipality. Have there been any claims made regarding this incident?
Not that I'm aware of currently. In the past, we've been found not at fault.
So in the report, go ahead.
However, I just wanted to say that this is, since I've been with the town, the 5th time this has happened in this location, and it impacts about 20 houses. So this year, we were a bit more proactive, but again, we're utilizing vac trucks to try to keep the flows down, so we're not flowing into people's houses. That's an operational cost that we don't want to continue to have.
So in the report, it mentions the wastewater master plan. So this was part of that initially, and it's just getting bumped up now. Is that what's happening?
No, so the original I want to say it was 2013 master plan, which is very much outdated, stated that we were to line the trunk lines in that area. It didn't necessarily address this issue itself. We need to update that because I don't think lining is possible in this area. It'd be more of a replacement just due to the infiltration because they're concrete pipes. There's a lot of silt that flows into those pipes. So I don't know that we can get them clean enough to line them to get them back to restorative value or life. So it would be more of a replacement. So that's what we need to identify in this master plan, the regional master plan with the county.
Okay, and that's the one that we're updating right now is the wastewater. So does something in the plan get bumped now because of this, or are we still tracking good with all the other?
No, it'll cover our entire infrastructure, right? So it's
Yeah.
going to look at everything and what we need to upgrade and plan for future development or expansion of the town. It'll identify all of that.
Okay, so there'll be items potentially coming for this budget that are identified in the master plan?
The master plan will not be completed this year. So the $200,000 is going to get us the first steps.
Yeah.
And I've been talking with the county quite a bit. We're like, $200,000 for both regional master plans is not quite enough money. So what our plan is to get through phase 1 of this, and then we're going to go for the grant again at the end of this year and try to get another $200,000. So it could be multiple years that it takes for us to get this master plan completed.
And have we identified any other areas in the community that are at potential risk because of all the amount of rain that we've had?
Luckily, no.
Oh, good.
If anything, we had a really good hydraulic flushing of our system, but no other areas flooded during that.
And are we using our own back truck when we can?
We can, yeah, when we can, but one isn't enough in this circumstance. So we're using multiple vac trucks from other companies as well.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions for administration? Is there a member of council who would like to make a motion? Go ahead, Councillor Brooks.
I move to approve $100,000 from the Sewer Capital Reserve Fund for critical sanitary sewer infrastructure improvements.
Thank you very much for your motion. Any comment, question, debate on the motion? Thank you for presenting today, Ms. Haskell. You did a fantastic job, so thank you for that. There is a motion to approve the 100,000 from the Sewer Capital Reserve Fund made by Councillor Brooks. I'll now call the motion. All in favor? That is carried. And that wraps up our one and only discussion, or decision item this morning on our regular council meeting. We'll jump into our councillor reports, and Councillor Jeffrey, you were up first.
Morning. It's been a relatively quiet time, although when I started to look at the list of items, there have been a few things that I've done since our meeting seems to have been a very long time ago. One thing that I did do was I took part in the garden tour on a Saturday that happened here in town, and I commend the individuals that organize that on an annual basis. It's always very, very interesting to be able to see the backyards of certain individuals in town and all the work and pride that they show in what's happening. I attended the Rural Wealth Creation Workshop in Edmonton with our U of A group. Found that very good use of my time again that day in terms of learning all the background of what's been happening and what's potentially could be happening. So we'll be pursuing and finding out more as we work forward. I joined a few members, my colleagues, with the Meet the New Doctors at the clinic in town. So we have 2 very active new doctors. There was a bit of a housing issue for one of them that I was contacted about, and my understanding is good news that that person has found an apartment at this point in time to locate in, so he's very happy. I went over to the Mighty Learners Daycare art exhibit, and again, it's just cool to check in and see all the work that's going into that kind of project in town. Brazeau Foundation meeting, there were a few things that came out of that day that were, again, interesting. Again, let me just check my notes so that I report correctly. I think that group indicated that the one stat that came out that day that I found especially interesting was that, just a moment, finding it. 82 years of age is the average age at the Shangri-La Lodge, 82. So I'm sorry, in my world, that's not very old. But that's the average age that's there. An interesting point was made that there are, they've been approached by couples in their mid-80s looking for a place to their next step, and right now they cannot be accommodated. So that is a growing issue in our community. Our provision of housing services for that age group. And they're healthy and active, but they just need to move away from their current housing situation, and they're struggling to go. A current waiting list of 96 individuals for housing. So definitely something that we need to be very aware of and very active in. The Master Chef competition at the hospital that the Health Foundation was part of. And again, 3 local chefs that came in, and really was a competition. And the food was great, and we got to vote. And they're going to do it again in Breton. Again, just involving the community. I'm not sure they made a ton of money that day, but it sure was a good PR move on their part. And the Hospital Foundation meeting was held. Site manager is still being recruited. The intention is to have a full-time site manager at our hospital, which is definitely a good news point. And in the last 3 months, they have brought in $20,000 from 2 projects, Smile Cookie and Split the Pot.
What's that?
A 50-50 kind of it's an Alberta thing, and somebody local managed to win some money.
Oh, wow.
So then we get part of it, I think is the way it works. So yeah, those kind of things are happening. So that's about it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for your report. Councillor Brooks.
I have no report. There's, my boards are all on vacation. So that's all it is.
Did you do an interview?
I guess I did an interview if you want to.
Yeah, we'd like to hear about that.
I did an interview with EPAC. It was terrible. I didn't realize there was gonna be a camera. If I knew that, I wouldn't have shown up, but, they didn't tell me that, and I saw the person before me getting interviewed, and, I said exactly that to them. But essentially, the interview is just, kind of, what is EPEC in the community? It was more of a, an interview on culture in Drayton Valley and that sort of thing, not so much. I actually expected it to be a interview on maybe the potential expansion or board governance or something like that, and they didn't, when I was asked if I'd do it, they didn't actually tell me what it was about, so I found out when I got the interview. So, yeah, I guess that happened.
So is there a lesson from that?
There's a lesson. Don't agree to do anything in this town, otherwise you
Or
might have to
prepare
get on
for
camera.
the unexpected? Well, I'm sure you did a fantastic job. We're always our worst critic. Thank you. Thank you for that. Councillor Finn?
Yeah, so since last council, I had a chamber meeting on the 16th, and then actually my family and we went out to the Mothball on the evening of the 16th out at Pembina Nordic Center. Really great event. Looks like they had a good turnout. We did a bat tour at 10 o'clock at night, so we had these little devices and went searching for bats. It was really neat. On the 17th was the Town County Golf Tournament. Kudos to Mayor Dodds and Deputy Brandon Boehm there for sitting on the planning committee. We had a great time at the tournament. It was a great turnout and great day. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything that I've done.
Perfect, thank you for that. Councillor Clark?
A couple things. Attended a DVHTA meeting, chatted about a few things. One of the members dropped out. The hotel sold, so I think the owner's looking at his options there, deciding what he wants to do. And then also just talked about the DMO and the application being put forth by DVHTA to be that I guess governing body in Drayton Valley, and there's that. And then lastly, yes, I did also got a call about the doctor housing stuff and connected some people. I don't know if that ended up working out, but sounds like somebody made it work out for him, so that's good. And then lastly, the PPRRC, the Pembina Physician Retention and Recruitment Committee. Some emails flying around between certain council members, county and town, just talking about maybe having a meeting and either wrapping that up or continuing on. Don't know yet. So when we have that meeting, we'll discuss that and see what we want to do. Other than that, that's all I had.
Thank you for that. Councillor Boehm?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, lots of things I would say, well, I shouldn't say too crazy, but lots of things have happened since then and now. So yeah, we had our golf tournament on July 17th. It was fantastic, great turnout, lots of people came, beautiful weather. I think it was perfect that way. On the 20th of July, yes, met the two new doctors that came into town, so was able to present a plaque to the pharmacist owner there, and I just really had a good time meeting with county councillors and just a lot of support. People are very excited about having new doctors in town, and it was kind of funny too, even when we were trying to leave, there was, I don't know, 10 people sitting in the lobby already. I was like, okay, looks like they're already busy. Wow. So that's good. On the 21st, went to U of A, did the Rural Wealth Creation meeting with them, and just had, yeah, great discussions around what the U of A is doing, the partnership that they kind of have with the town so far, and yeah, looking forward to hopefully some things that are going to kind of come out of that going into the future. Yeah, there's some pretty exciting things that they're talking about and that they're looking at, so that's pretty cool. I'm really hoping that we get something done there. And then since then, I had a baby and had some time off, and yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on in my world. That's it.
Just another baby.
Yeah,
Well,
just had a baby, not me, my wife, but definitely feeling the exhaustion from it.
Well, thank you for your report, and congratulations to you both on baby number 4, healthy baby number 4. That's what's important. So for myself, yeah, not a lot going on. I just got back from a little break. I did do a interview with the Free Press in regards to homelessness and the task force wrapping up. So just had a little discussion around what that looks like going forward for any individuals that are still wanting to get involved in the community and where they can volunteer and assist. It's an ongoing situation that we definitely have not solved, but there were a lot of resources and organizations and volunteers in the community that are addressing this on a regular basis. I did have a couple meetings with the Ministry of Tourism and Sports with Deputy Boehm as well. We did wrap up the, excuse me, the RCMP multi-year financial plan. So that was finalized just before or just at the end of July. And then the golf tournament, of course, which was, I think, a fantastic turnout. The day was hot. We had a lot of people come from far and wide to support 3 great causes. So thank you to everyone that made it such a special day, to all the volunteers, to everyone that did their part for help to raise funds, donate it and everything. Looking forward to finding out what we did raise. I think we have a meeting tomorrow, so looking forward to what that number looks like. And, I guess spreading those funds then to the 3 recipients and having to decide if we're going to be continuing this the following year and what maybe those charities will look like. And that wraps up my report. Is there a member of council that would like to make a motion to receive these as information? Councillor Finn, thank you for that. I'll call the motion. All in favor? That is carried. And then we'll jump into 10.1 roundtable discussion. What's been happening around the community? Go ahead, Councillor Clark.
I got a couple things. One, the Ag Society's putting on their Thursday night rodeos every couple of weeks, and it's pretty fun. There's lots of people that show up, and lots of people sit in the stands and happy to be there. Lots of contestants and lots of sponsors, and so it's really nice to see that kind of being re-injected into our community, because it is part of our fabric, right? The whole ag side of things and rodeos and that, so that's great. I love seeing that.
So what is that called again, and where is it? And like, can anyone stop by?
So it's the Thursday night. Yeah, there's a Thursday night, but they also have a Gymkhana every
Yeah.
Sunday. Yeah, so they've got lots going on, and they're actually using the rodeo grounds, which is nice. Those haven't been used in years and years, so that's good.
And
Yeah,
so
they've
you
got
could
a
just-
really nice little
So you
setup.
can just stop by, and if somebody wanted to.
So it's $15 to get in. For kids, it's $6 or $10 or something. But yeah, something to do. Some
wow.
entertainment. So it's pretty good. Kill some time if it isn't raining. So yeah, nice to see that for sure. They're doing lots of good stuff, the Ag Society. Another thing with respect to housing, I got a call from let's call it a prominent business owner in town, and they were asking if there were any rentals, and I said, well, unfortunately, it seems there's almost zero vacancy for a couple of reasons. The ATCO pipeline being built from Piers to Fort Saskatchewan, the west leg is being run out of Drayton Valley, so all those consultants, a lot of those pipeliners will be flooding in here pretty quick. The consultants are mostly here, so that's why we're seeing pretty much zero vacancy. So concerning on a couple of different levels. One, I mean, attracting people to work here is tough because there's nowhere to live, right, in terms of rentals. And then secondly, when you look at people like doctors, you look at people like teachers, we're going to see a whole bunch of new teachers coming to Drayton here shortly, and they're going to have a tough time finding a place to live. So, so those are concerns for sure for, I mean, not necessarily municipality, but, on the peripheral, yeah, we should be concerned. So, he kind of started asking, like, is there, are there things the town has, like, is there land available from the town to build, whether it's single family, multifamily, whatever? And I said, possibly. We should be seeing something fairly quick here in terms of, let's call it excess lands and those available to for the broader use of the public. So I'm gonna sit down and have a coffee with him this week or next, one of the two, and just do some discussion, because he wants to actually start building himself. He's like, I'm done with trying to find people places to live, I'll just build them. So, so that's good, I guess, from that perspective. It'd be nice to see more of it, I guess. So definitely a concern, especially over the next 8 to 10 months with that pipeline being built. There's gonna be little vacancy, so.
Does anybody have anything else? Go ahead, Councillor Jeffrey.
Just a question. One thing that came out of the meeting with Brazo Housing was reference to our concept plan. If I just get some background on that and where things are at.
Absolutely. So we had a great meeting with Denise Chesterman, ED of the Brazo Foundation, early last week to discuss a variety of things, not the least of which was the progression of the concept plan for the El Dorado and DeBee lands. Again, back to the conversation about transparency and process that we had earlier today and we've had on any number of occasions. It's critical that we go forward and create these plans that council has your fingerprints on all of the plans and the whole process is transparent to the community. So now we've brought V3, who's already one of our consultants, who understands our land use bylaws and our lands better than anybody else, other than the people sitting around the table here today. We've had to contract this out, as you know, because we don't have the in-house capacity in planning and development to do this. So we went out and we ended up with V3 coming to the table. So right now they're drafting the initial concept plan, which will come to us in the next week or so. So it'll be on council's agenda here in August for you guys to take a look at it and put your comments on it. Where do you want to see different types of housing, including the Brazo Foundation? The commitment to the Brazo Foundation from this council and previous councils was that 4 acres be dedicated to them to develop their future housing on. And there was a conditional commitment, and those conditions have not been standardized yet, I suppose. As we move through the concept plan, and we decide to move those 4 acres over to the Brazo Foundation for their development, there will be conditions that I'm going to recommend to council on there, not the least of which is the plan that Brazo Foundation has for those lands is executable. The conversations with Brazo Foundation to date have been centered on funding versus a proper development process. That's one of the critical aspects that I continue to discuss with the executive director is just understanding what the proper development process looks like and what it is. It's unrealistic for the Brazo Foundation to believe at this moment that they'll achieve an HPP application. They're nowhere near close enough to even making a submission, but it seems to be a cornerstone of what they want to do. So until the concept plan is finalized here in the next 4 to 6 weeks, because we'll have to do, you guys will take a look at it, put your fingerprints on it, we'll take it back, adjust as to what it is you want to see. Then we'll take it out to the public for a couple of nights of engagement where people can come in, probably set it up at the MCC because it's a nice wide open space, lots of parking. And we'll have people come in and they can draw on it as well. We'll adjust if there are any adjustments to be made, and then we'll come back to council and you guys will say thumbs up, thumbs down, make another adjustment, whatever it is. And then finally, when you're happy with it, then we'll adopt it as the plan and it'll go out as a public information. This is what we want built in these different areas. And that's when we go back to Brazo Foundation and say, okay, that 4 acres that you want, where you want it is good to go. I don't see you guys changing that, but maybe you will. And then they can go forward their concept plan. I think I've made some comments already that would suggest that I'm not really confident in their understanding of the process and how it moves. We've offered from the town side to go and discuss development with them in just a nice, hey, this is what development actually looks like from due diligence right through to construction completion certificates and occupancy permits and certificates. And they have not taken us up on that opportunity yet. So the conditions that will come forward for the Brazo Foundation that I'll recommend to you for adoption are simply going to be protecting that piece of land and making sure that people aren't digging holes before they're ready to. Because that's a significant risk to the community writ large. So I don't know if that answered the question, Councillor Jeffrey, I hope so.
Anybody have anything else? Go ahead, Councillor Jeffrey, did you have one more thing?
Just a quick question. So the timeline with this, bringing that initial concept to us and then taking it out to the public in a couple of meetings and then back to us and then the final out, what kind of timeline are you thinking there?
Pardon me, the full extent of this, depending on what we do for the public engagement piece, is probably 6 to 8 weeks from, from last week. So we're sitting around the 7-week mark at this point, I would think. And I'll update you along the way if it looks like it's going to slide a bit. But honestly, if I can have us ready for our next, so 2 weeks from now, to have that initial concept here, I think that puts us on track.
Okay, perfect. Councillor Bohm?
Yeah, one thing to, I don't know, just to bring up. So I went out to Whitecourt with the family. They have an amazing little outdoor water park, slide, playground, all kinds of stuff, pretty unreal. And I was just dreaming and envisioning, what if we could bring that to Drayton Valley?
We already dreamt that.
Oh, good. Well, why didn't we do it?
Why didn't we do it? Because the area that we picked, there was a group that wasn't in favor, so it
Fair
didn't
enough.
happen.
And so it's kind of funny. So I was thinking and dreaming about it a little bit, in that we do have a central park in Drayton Valley, which could be built up a bit better, and potentially you could throw in some slides in there, have an outdoor water park that would replace the current pool that we have. Plus, we already have our outdoor little water park, which could be made a little bit better. And now we have one centralized park in the middle of town that maybe could be something pretty sweet, so. That's right. Anyways, just
Right?
a bit of an idea to throw out to people and maybe something to think about into the future. And I would, yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, I think it's amazing what they have. The only issue that they do have, in my opinion, with what they have going on down there is there's 0 businesses. So if you need your life jackets or your swimsuits or any of that kind of, like, you got to drive a long ways away to get it and then come back. Whereas in Drayton Valley, we put it in the center of town now, all of a sudden you're making very easy access to everything. And, there's restaurants around there, there's all kinds of stuff. So kind of really cool idea, but just throwing it out there.
Like it. We're going to talk about strat planning a little bit after, so maybe you want to include that in that discussion. Awesome. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, if that is it, that wraps up our roundtable discussion. We do have some information items. I'm just wondering if 11.1 and 11.2 needs its separate motions, as there was a recommendation to receive of information. If there's a member of council for 11.1 for the Town of Drayton Valley Management Organizational Chart presentation, if there's a member of council that would like to make a motion for that? Just to receive his information? Well, it's not, we can go through it, yes, absolutely. It's not under a decision item. I'm just wondering if 11.1 and 11.2 shouldn't have been under the decision items, but we can go through it, sure. 11.1, did you want to present this, Mr. Grant?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to. The reason it's not in a decision item, because there's no decision for council to make on the org structure. It's just, it's an information item that aligns with the conversation that we had bringing it up to this point. So that's why it's not in there as a decision, but you'll see this come back during the budget process, as I've discussed with some of you, where the new, well, it's not entirely new, but the new format for the budget presentation will have the org chart associated with each division and the costing of it throughout. This is just more of an open conversation, again, back to the transparency and discussions where the public has an opportunity to hear and see what's going on in the background. That's why it's an information item, and I'm really happy to speak to it and have a conversation about what we've got going on. So you'll see, as per our discussions a few weeks ago, what I've tried to do initially with the first organization is minimize to the greatest extent possible the CAO's span of control. So instead of having 9 or 14 different direct reports, which completely hobbles the CAO, we've minimized it to 7, with the fire chief being a foot in both the county and the town camp. Really, in the leadership of the fire department, it's pretty minimalistic, quite frankly. Tom does a great job as the chief, leading his teams and training and responding and making sure his policies and procedures are up to date. So it's really, the fire department is the fire department. It's pretty straightforward. We've elevated one position to the chief of staff position. For everybody, I assume everybody knows what a chief of staff is, and if not, I'm happy to have a conversation about it. Basically, what we've done is we've taken the past interim CAO who did such a great job, and we didn't allow her to go back into relative obscurity and just straight comms. And we're trying to take advantage of all the stuff that she knows and her leadership. And part of succession planning is to elevate her into the chief of staff role. And then we'll get into what's in the chief of staff here in a minute. GM corporate services, infrastructure, and community services remain largely the same, although you'll recognize community services was once town services. And then senior manager of protective services has a little bit of an adjustment there where we're aligning specific roles with the leadership that they should be in. So that's basically, sorry, I kept economic development as a direct report to me as well. It's a bit of a specialized thing. If it looks like it fits somewhere else, or we have a different leader at some point where it can move, I'll bring that conversation forward. But for the moment, I think it needs to kind of hang out on its own. And at some point, it'll likely start really wrestling with some of the bigger strategic economic development issues that we have. So you take a look at the chief of staff position, the executive assistants will live there, and the HR advisor that we have right now with Russ Farmer will report to the chief of staff directly. The communications, ledge services, HR coordinator, planning and development, and safety all live there. These are strategic elements that cross all bounds, so right across the organization. They affect every department. Moving economic development to report to the CAO meant that planning and development was kind of left as an outlier somewhere, and it didn't really fit anywhere else. But since the chief of staff and the CAO are working so tightly together, I plugged it into there so that we would still deal with it. Planning and development doesn't have a planning officer, so you'll see that come back at budget time where I'll be recommending some changes in there. Either you'll adopt them or you won't, but all of the impacts will be listed for that. And right now, the CAO is the development authority for the town because we don't have a development officer. So that's just sitting on my plate as well. Pretty straightforward stuff. Again, aligning those elements within there. The executive assistant, so the administrative assistant or executive assistant that works with all of you is in here as well. So that's where they're found. I know we had some conversation about why we're doing that. I just don't need a direct report that's an admin. It's better off situated as a strategic resource with the chief of staff. And within that space, as we're doing right now, and we've got Sue working in the back real hard there, we're able to create redundancy in positions. So we're doing some cross-training and some additional redundancies in there. GM Community Services. So you'll see a little bit of a change here. As I've discussed, ECDev and Planning and Development has come out of this space, and we moved ECDC into that space. The admin assistant remains there, and RAC, TAC, and FCSS all go into that space. You'll notice that FCSS is hived off a couple of spots that are not really FCSS roles, and I'll show you where those are in a minute. But programs, home support, and the FCSS managers still live under the GM of Community Services, and ECDC has moved out of corporate services and into community services. GM Infrastructure, I see a couple of empty boxes there. I don't know why that didn't come over. Really not a huge change here, with the exception of the Assistant Manager for Public Works, where we've kind of, originally, the Public Works Manager just had a massive span of control. It was practically untenable, making it super difficult for the manager at that level to lead. The Assistant Manager was plugged in there from, I don't really know when, but it really worked out well because we were able to put the parks underneath that position and divvy out the span of control, allowing the leaders to be more effective across all levels. And then Senior Manager Protective Services, this is another interesting one. This is where we've taken the opportunity to combine Community Services Coordinator and our Outreach Coordinator to better impact community safety and protective services. So basically, our outreach and our community services were really dealing with homelessness, really dealing with some of the issues of affordability and housing and some of those larger strategic problems that are not really FCSS programs. They're more associated with the same people that are being served within Cody's span of control. So moving that over made sense. You'll see Restorative Justice Coordinator. So last year, apparently we applied for a grant of restorative justice, and this year we were provided the grant. It's only good until December. So we went out and we advertised. We had 2 people that were capable candidates, interviewed them both, and invariably they said, yeah, we'd like to do the job, but we just don't see the task load. It's likely that we wouldn't see anybody this year because of the way our systems work at the provincial level. So it's a $30,000 grant, which would have taken us between now and December, and in December, January, we wouldn't know if we were going to get approved another grant or not. The recommendation from HR and the Senior Manager of Protective Services was that, what are we doing? One of the questions I ask staff all the time is, are we doing the right things? And are we doing things right? And in this case, they suggest that the Restorative Justice Coordinator is not the right thing for us to do. There's just not a caseload for it. There's no real honest argument other than to increase staff by 1 position and then fight hard to keep that position funded in a potential desert of clients, right? So we made the really not a difficult decision at all. It was an easy decision to return the funds back to the province, explain our position, and send their money back to them. So Restorative Justice Coordinator is on here only because I wanted to have a conversation about it and discuss with you. We're not simply creating positions to have more staff. We're not simply creating positions to solve problems that don't exist or look for problems, solutions that don't have problems yet. We're always going to look at this thing and adjust where we can to make sure we're delivering the best services for the people of the town of Drayton Valley. And that's what our org chart looks like. Again, the next time you're going to see this, and you'll see a more fulsome, pardon me, a more fulsome org chart. This is just down to the manager level, just so you can understand how we've rearranged our leadership entities and see that they're more focused on delivering quality service and minimizing span of control so that managers can lead instead of simply punching time cards and you know, they can get out and actually do their job as leaders. So I'm excited about that. Next time you'll see it again is at budget, where you'll see a more fulsome right down to number 1 rifleman. Well, we don't have any riflemen, but if we did, they'd be on here. Anyways, that's all I have.
Perfect. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Jeffrey.
Can I just ask, under Protective Services, Community Services Coordinator, I'm trying to think of what responsibilities are attached to that position?
Yeah, so it's a confusing title, Community Services Coordinator. It was under FCSS, and primarily that position was dealing with housing affordability, so the 27 units that we had. Now, as we go through the transition of those affordable units back to Brazeau Foundation where they ought to be, this allows this position to go under the Senior Manager of Protective Services. We'll likely undergo a little bit of a name change so it's not confusing. It'll be focused on taking on a larger part of the homelessness attack, right? So housing the homeless, affordability, understanding how the surrounding services or umbrella services work. And then, in this case, it's personality kind of specific. There may be an opportunity for the Senior Manager of Protective Services to flesh out more of the ECC roles, so our emergency response roles, because of the person that's in that role and her experience in emergency management. So, yeah, that'll be a very busy spot.
Okay, so given that, then the outreach coordinator, what's that position
Yes,
description?
so the outreach coordinator is Vanessa. So she's the one who is our forward-facing element with the warming shelter, with our homeless people, and making sure that they're getting all of the services that they specifically need. It's primarily a grant-funded position, and any time that our protective services folks or our CMP are running into snags, she's already dealt with or is dealing with the same families or individuals. So that's her. She spends a significant amount of her time at Warming Hearts.
Go ahead.
So I sense similarity then between those two positions?
Not particularly.
Okay.
I could see where you would, and there is transition if somebody is coming from a more difficult homeless situation into transitional or affordable housing, you can see overlap there. But generally speaking, what, in this case, Ashley was doing with affordable housing and the stuff she was working on is separate from the other element. Yeah, yeah. But they're both dealing with fragile communities and at-risk people for sure.
Any other questions? Is there a member of council who would like to make a motion to accept the Town of Drayton Valley Management Org Chart Report as information? Go ahead, Councillor Finn.
I motion to accept the Town of Drayton Valley Management Organizational Chart as information.
Thank you very much for that. Did you capture that, Ms. Harris? Perfect. I'll call the motion. All in favor? That is carried. Next up, we have the e-scooters in Alberta. Mr. Rossing?
Good morning, everyone. Just give a quick update on e-scooters in Alberta and what other municipalities are doing. So long and short of it is they are regulated under the province. The province has the full control and oversight of it. So for the most part, it's just municipalities need to play within the little bit of guidelines, if that the province provides us. That being said, e-scooters are technically considered to be micro-mobilities or miniature vehicles. Are kind of slang words we often hear in legislation with that. They are prohibited from being operated on your public roadways, sidewalks, all that kind of stuff. You are permitted to operate it on your private properties. There's a little bit of a caveat to that on when are you allowed to operate e-scooters on roadways. The only time that is possible is if you've entered into a pilot project through the province. You've amended your bylaws to reflect that as well, but it's only for private e-scooters. Those private e-scooters then have the ability to limit the locations, limit the speeds, have speed reductions in certain areas, all that kind of stuff. There has been some ongoing advocacy through Alberta municipalities. There was a motion that was passed in 2023, I believe it was, and there's a proposed motion going to this year's conference in September to again advocate for some additional changes at the provincial level for it. Currently at the local enforcement level, it's been very education-based right now, but we will soon be moving into more of an education, or sorry, more enforcement-based. That's also in alignment with our community safety strategic plan, which talks about increased enforcement, increased education, all that kind of stuff. We have done a couple social media posts on e-bikes, e-scooters, e-whatevers out there, and between our couple posts on our local enforcement and community safety page, we've had over 180,000 people that have viewed them, so quite a big reach. It turns into a lot of babysitting on comments on those ones, unfortunately. But at the same point too, prime example is we were seeing a big increase in complaints and questions about the e-dirt bikes. We did a social media post, I think that one got like 130,000 likes or views, sorry, and our complaints have drastically decreased since then, right? So that's where that education piece starts coming in. Are you still having it? Yeah, there's still a little bit of that going on, but thankfully the power of social media, good and bad, has provided some education to that. And there's also municipalities and police services across Alberta and Canada that are heavily doing advertisement on micro-mobility devices as well. So again, to the start there, very little municipalities can do right now because they are considered motor vehicles, then down into micro-mobilities under provincial legislation. The recommendation is to support the motion at Alberta municipalities coming forward to again champion the province to change some of those legislations, make it very clear on what you can do, can't do. Does it allow for personal e-scooters? Maybe, maybe not, to be determined. But yeah, that's kind of where we are with e-scooters currently.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions? Because it is not clear. Councillor Finn?
I guess I just have a comment. So I know, so I've had quite a few calls on this too. I know lots of kids are using them to transport to school. So the parents are saving actually busing fees because now within the town, if you're in certain areas, you have to pay for busing. So they are using it as a mode of transportation. I mean, safety is definitely number one, but yeah, it's kind of an unknown in the province. I think every municipality is posting on it right now, and there's just lots of questions as to what this looks like. So be good to get some clear guidance and clear guidelines from the province for sure.
And to that point as well is, interestingly enough, the definitions of e-scooters and all this kind of stuff has been in provincial legislation since the early 2000s. So I was quite young, early 2000s. I know I wasn't thinking about e-scooter then. I don't know if older generations were thinking about e-scooters in the early 2000s, but it really kind of started hearing about it, at least in the enforcement world, kind of that 2019, 2020 is kind of when they started coming out. So good and bad is it's been in legislation for a long time, but it also hasn't really been touched since it was originally introduced in the early 2000s, right? So again, as society changes and stuff like that, do the legislations need to change to keep up with the changes? I think so. Now it's just, what is the province going to do that next step to make sure that the public is safe, that the riders are safe, but it's also a viable solution for individuals moving forward as well. So.
Go ahead, Councillor Jeffrey.
Just started debating this in my head. Definitely it is a provincial problem across the province. Like, I've been traveling quite a bit this last month or so, and everyone talks about them everywhere. They're a problem. Am I correct in understanding then that what we are doing is the social media education component, just trying to get the message out to be careful, et cetera? Is that pretty much it?
The education and the enforcement piece.
Okay, so the enforcement piece, what does that look like?
So currently it's just a warning stage for
Okay.
most instances. Again, try and do that education through the warning. However, as mentioned, we will be moving forward in that actual enforcement stage sooner than later. We've had a couple people where we've talked to a couple times. They're continuing to do it.
Okay.
Again, it is through the provincial legislation you can't do it. And it has been identified under the community safety strategic plan as priority as well, right? So we do have, I guess, a couple options on it, again, because it is technically considered motor vehicles. There's some different case law out there that actually requires you to have insurance, have registration, have license plates, all that kind of stuff. So if we were to go to the full extent, you're probably looking at a couple $1,000s if you are caught on an e-scooter, if we're using provincial legislation. We've built it into our municipal bylaw, an actual charge for operating a micromobility device, period. I don't remember the exact fine amount on it. My direction to my staff would be, we're just using that. We're not gonna go through the full, no insurance, no registration, no license plates, no headlights, no taillights, and then, right? So, it would still be an enforcement avenue, but not to the full extent. So, again, trying to be realistic with the challenges that are out there, and, do we really want to tie up the court systems with a bunch of 13 or 14-year-olds getting charged with no insurance on e-scooter? I don't think so. I don't think that's in the public's interest. But at the same point too, there is still that safety aspect that we need to be mindful of as well, for the riders, for motorists, for pedestrians, other users of the sidewalk, roadway, whatever, so.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear there's some enforcement. I think we have a responsibility before there's a serious accident or otherwise, to be able to say, these are the things that we have tried to do, to make sure that the safety is taken care of. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Is there a member of council who would like to make a motion to receive this information? Go ahead, Councillor Bohm.
I move that council accept the e-scooters in Alberta report as information.
Thank you very much for that. I'll call the motion. All in favor? That is carried. And then the last report from administration is from you, Mr. Grant, and that is in regards to the federal infant feeding policy information update. This is a short one.
Oh, yeah, it's short. So earlier this year, we had a bit of a splash at the pool regarding infant feeding in the pool, and not at all helpful, Councillor Brooks. I appreciate it, though. So I believed at that time, based on the comments from our staff, that we actually had a policy that was engaged at that time, and we don't. If we do, I certainly can't find it, neither can any of the staff. However, there are no policies about breastfeeding in the pool, and pan-nationally, it is a permitted thing to do. There are no health problems, there are no contamination problems. It's a matter of discretion. If a new mother wants to breastfeed while she's in the pool, she's more than welcome to do that. And I think this was a little bit of a flashback to an event that happened as many as 3 years ago, where a new mother and one of our lifeguards had a tete-a-tete about breastfeeding in the pool. And then it popped up again when they met again 3 years later in the pool. And then there was, like I said, a big splash. And then it caused us to have to really take a hard look at this and see, are we doing things right, and are we doing the right things? As it turns out, we were not doing things right. And we've adjusted staff behavior and briefed and educated our staff on the rules and regulations regarding breastfeeding in the pool. And yeah, you're absolutely allowed to do that. If that's your jam, knock yourself out. I can't imagine that many people want to do that, but if you do, you're quite able to. I'm not judging left or right of center how you like to feed your kids, but breastfeeding in the pool is absolutely fine. Anyways, I thought I'd bring it forward as an information item. I don't think we need to create a policy or a procedure on this. There's already all sorts of different literature out there, and just another policy adds to that great big 12 inches of policies and procedures that we have already.
Perfect, thank you for that. Any questions? Is there a member of council who would like to make a motion to receive this information? Councillor Jeffrey.
I move that we receive the information about the breastfeeding in aquatic facilities position statement.
Thank you very much for that. I'll call the motion. All in favor? That is carried. And we do have two remaining information items for a motion. That is 11.4, Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services letter, 11.5, Minister of Hospital and Surgical Health Services response letter, and 11.6, which is the Brazeau Foundation June 2026 meeting minutes. Is there a member of council that would like to make a motion to receive this as information? Councillor Finn, thank you very much for that. I'll call the motion. All in favor? That is carried, and that wraps up our meeting for this August 5th. I will adjourn the meeting at 10:05 a.m.